All right. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. 2023. It's crazy that another year's gone by. Let me check my stream real quick. Yep. All right. Looks like we're good. I'm still a little new to this. Bear with me. My name's Steve. I have a blog at christiananarchist.com, which I made a commitment to myself unofficially that I will try to write more blog posts, preferably once a week, even if they're short and sweet. I'm going to do that. I'm also going to be putting out a video at some point talking about Christian anarchism, what it is, and that sort of thing. It's funny, later on in this talk, I actually asked ChatGPT about Christian anarchism, and it gave a pretty good response. Anyways, let's get into it. What do we got first up? All right. Scientists revive a 48,500-year-old virus, setting a world record. Woohoo! As temperatures rise because of climate change, melting permafrost could cause dormant diseases to reemerge, researchers warn. I'm pretty sure it's not the warming temperatures that's causing it to rise. It's the fact that the scientists are trying to revive it. This is the most insane thing ever. What are they doing? Are they bored? Are they trying to cause another pandemic? Let me grab my tinfoil hat. At least they're telling us about it this time. Isn't this crazy? Like, what are you guys doing? There's a reason that virus is dead. Let it be. What could possibly be the reason for doing this? Especially after the last few years. Give me a break. All right, what else we got? Transgender man gives birth to non-binary partner's baby with female sperm donor. This was me trying to figure that sentence out. Transgender man gives birth to non-binary partner's baby with female sperm donor. So a man and a woman had a baby? What is happening? Anyways, I don't know what's happening. All right, moving on. I've been picking on Biden, but you know what? He deserves it. And this time I'm going to go a little deeper in some of his craziness and lies and deception and overall terrible politician. Saw this video on TikTok, and it is perfect for what I'm about to show you. And they're old clips from Biden, but still, check this out.
Do you guys remember in the 90s when you could just win an argument with a lie? Good times. You could just BS your way through a conversation and no one could say anything. They would just be like, I guess he's telling the truth. I am not going to the library to look that up. And if a debate ever got really heated in the 90s and people wanted to find out if you were telling the truth, they would just be like, do you swear to God? And if you did swear to God, it was the ultimate affirmation. Everyone would be like, relax, we believe you now. No way you'd bring God into this if you're lying through your teeth.
It's pretty funny because it's kind of true. And that's pretty much what Biden was doing. But he was actually called out on it because it turns out when you run for president, people are a little more, they scrutinize everything you say, as they should. So check out these clips. I couldn't get it on, couldn't download the video, so we're just going to open it up here. And we're going to play this video. You have to hear this. It's insane. If you haven't seen this already, it's kind of surprising. Because this was before, I was a kid when this happened, so I was clueless.
Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and, in fact, ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden.
Wow. It gets worse. This gets worse.
Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
That's my favorite part. My memory failed me. I was pretty specific in everything I was claiming. My memory failed me. What are you going to do? I don't know.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Oh, see how that's what he was doing. I don't know if you remember on the campaign trail for this past election, Biden, being as old and senile as he is, challenged this guy to like a push-up contest, basically. He has this whole like tough guy routine, and that's kind of what he's doing there, except that he was doing it for his superior intellect. So you can see that's what he's doing, and then he just spouts off all this stuff that's completely untrue.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
Bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover it.
Is Joe Biden dead meat, yes or no?
I think so.
Bob?
It's in terminal condition.
Terminal. Eleanor?
Yes, unless he comes in third in Iowa.
Morton?
Dying.
I say dead.
Democratic presidential candidate Joseph Biden today faces a controversy 3 weeks
Another controversy. This is different from what they were just talking about.
ago at a debate at the Iowa State Fair. He used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seemed to be claiming Kinnock's vision and life as his own.
Why is it that my wife is sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Gladys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania don't come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that
I mean, that point is true, but when you're quoting someone's speech word for word, that really doesn't apply. I mean, that, comedians have the same thing where you'll have two comedians who kind of tell the same joke or very similar joke. People can come up with the same ideas and convey that same exact message without copying each other. But it seems pretty apparent that he was straight up copying this guy's speech, right?
Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British speechwriter.
I was thinking on the way over here. Now that's a little too much because, as you point out, what's behind the words? What's there? And a lot of people, the rap on Biden has always been that it's just a surface.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
It cannot measure the health of our children,
The health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that...
What? When he was in law school? What? I mean, this is on the campaign trail, presumably. Now it's in law school.
It was unintentional.
He quoted...
It's unintentional. I don't know how I did that. It's crazy. Whoops. I hate when that happens. I hate when I'm writing a paper and whoops, I just straight up plagiarized and copied someone else's essay.
5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
I've done...
Dude, 5 pages? You don't... How is that unintentional? This guy cannot stop lying. 5 pages? Not even like a paragraph?
Done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given
All right, that's my favorite part. Oh, let me replay that.
without proper citation.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given an F.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
In the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
at law school, plagiarism on the stop.
The great communicator. Strike that. The great imitator.
You don't steal verbatim, or when you do, as he did 99% of the time, you give credit.
Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising.
Is it a wise idea, though, to take something that personal, anyway, from another politician and try and appropriate it to your own campaign?
I think it was a stupid thing to appropriate material that was really very personal, that was someone else's.
Think?
Most people didn't know who he was, you know, Joe Biden, and now they're going to say, oh, yeah, he's the guy who plagiarized. That's
a lot of people.
Politically, that's devastating. These clips are devastating.
Well, may have been devastating at the time, but look where we're at now. Crazy, right?
And he looks like a Joe Biden wind-up doll with somebody else's words coming out.
If they're going to do things that are stupid as well as immoral, then they're probably too dumb to have the job of president.
Voters are going to have to decide whether he was dishonest or dumb.
He's probably too stupid. Whoa. I don't know. Facebook's auto-playing something. Well, he's president now. That's what we've got. All right, let's see what else we got over here. Oh, yeah. Oh, dang it.
Question. What law school did you attend?
Yeah, so this is the clip of him. This is the beginning of that one clip. I just want to play it because this is that whole tough guy routine thing he does.
Question. What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is...
And so the guy said, what law school did you attend and stuff? And some guy's like, who cares? You always have some chump like sitting there defending these political candidates or whatever. It's so annoying.
You quickly... I think
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do.
You see?
I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship.
And then this is where he jumps into his thing. That was mostly what I wanted to play. I have a higher intellect than you. He goes on and talks about that stuff. I'm not going to rehash that whole entire thing. And then what else do we got?
That you would agree that your service in the Senate...
Oh, yeah. So this is a clip from... It was a... 1974. Wow. That was before I was born. Dude, he's been in politics forever. So he was in some campaign finance reform roundtable or questioning on this news channel. You got to hear this clip. It's a quick 30-second clip. I watched the whole thing in 15, 20 minutes or something earlier today, but this is the clip that's pretty... unbelievable.
That you would agree that your service in the Senate up to this point has not reflected any particular concern for the larger contributors?
Well, the fortunate thing is I didn't have many larger contributors, and the only reason... See, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself in the manner in which I talked about it. But what happened was they said, come back when you're 40, son. And so I had to go out... I had to go to a number of small contributors.
Well, did you?
Is that not the craziest thing you've ever heard? And then people are laughing like, oh, corrupt politicians. Oh, it's so funny. He's admitting to the fact that he was trying to be corrupted. Insane, right? And then everyone's laughing. Oh, what are you going to do? This is the system we have. Oh my gosh. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to me. All right. And then we got another video here someone put together. Some of it has it's repeating what I already covered, but some of it's new. And by the way, notice the difference between Joe Biden, you know, maybe not so much in the other clip because he was apparently 29 years old, but even the ones before where he's quick-witted and can actually speak fast, and, you know, compared to this, it's really kind of sad. But anyways, this is a compilation of some of his other lies, basically.
I've written extensively when I was a law professor. Been on a lot of university campuses. Matter of fact, for 4 years, I was a full professor at the University of Pennsylvania.
There's a story that you told at least 3 times about Nelson Mandela. Take a look.
I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robbins Island.
I guess the question is, were you confused or were you just trying to embellish a story?
Both. It was both. Mostly the latter, but probably both.
They think I'm kidding, man. Seems like yesterday, the first time I got arrested. Anyway. I am a hard coal miner. Anthracite coal, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Hell, I might be president now if it weren't for the fact I said I had an uncle who was a coal miner. Turned out I didn't have anybody in the coal mines, you know what I mean?
Really?
I tried that crap, you know.
He went on the Daily Show and just like admitted that? Isn't that crazy? And he's our president now. He basically was like, oh, I tried that crap. Oh, my dad was a coal miner from Pennsylvania. And just straight up lying through his teeth to say whatever he thinks he needs to do to get someone's vote. It's crazy.
Dad was he was a salesperson. He wasn't a coal miner. My great-grandpa was, but I used to drive a tractor trailer.
Oh, awesome.
And so I know a little bit about driving big trucks.
No, that's great.
But, and Corn Pop was a bad dude.
He knows something about driving trucks, dude. He's been in government his entire life. I used to drive trucks. Give me a break.
And he ran a bunch of bad boys. And it's the God's truth. My word is abiding.
He lied.
Did you catch it? Oh, it's just like that comedian said. I swear to God. He still thinks we're living in the 80s and 90s when no one can fact check you on the spot. I swear to God, my word is abiding. Which means nothing.
Voters, according to the New York Times, quoting aides of Biden's, about having marched in the civil rights movement. Advisors had gently reminded Mr. Biden of the problem with this formulation. He had not actually marched during the civil rights movement, and more than once, Mr. Biden assured them that he understood and kept telling the story anyway.
It's pretty bad if CNN's calling you out. I mean, my goodness. You got one network that all they do is rail against Trump. It must be really bad if even CNN and this douche of a, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. Even if he has to call you out, it just gets so blatant, they just have to.
That is really, really weird.
And I'm not saying I am
weird. It's weird.
Black, but I want to tell you something. I got started out of an HBCU, Delaware State. Now, I don't want to hear anything negative about Delaware State here, okay? I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home.
That I quoted Robert Kennedy without attributing it to Robert Kennedy. I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, Mr. Biden used 5 pages of published law review article, without quotation or citation. That's precisely right. And I've done some dumb things.
and I'll do dumb things again.
That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
That is a great video. Isn't that crazy? And he's our president. Like, apparently no one cares about that. Now you could say, Steve, he was only elected because he was running against Trump. And perhaps there's an argument there. But the fact that he was even picked by Obama to be the vice presidential candidate is insane, right? I don't know, you know how in that one clip he said, come back when you're in your 40s? Well, guess what? He came back, and they're repaying the favor, and he's repaying their favors, whatever. It's a whole rigged system. It's crazy. All right, moving on. That's enough about Biden. I saw this headline, "The Case for Wearing Masks Forever," and I was like, oh, this must be a 2020 article. No. Look at this. December 28th of 2022. 3 days ago or whatever. Is this not the craziest thing ever? A ragtag coalition of public health activists believe that America's pandemic restrictions are too lax. What a shocker. And they say they have the science to prove it. But that's not even the craziest part. I'm just going through one screenshot here on this article. Look at this. And then there are masks. The People's CDC. I don't know what they're saying. The People's CDC. It's not my CDC. Strongly support mask mandates. And they have called on federal, state, and local governments to put them back in place, arguing that vaccine-only strategy promoted by the CDC is insufficient. You think? The group has noted that resistance to masks is most common among white people. Okay. Lucky Tran, who organizes the coalition's media team, recently tweeted a YouGov survey supporting this. Okay. And wrote that, quote, a lot of anti-mask sentiment is deeply embedded in white supremacy. You have got to be kidding me with this. Anti-mask sentiment is deeply embedded in white supremacy. I mean, these people see white supremacy everywhere they look. They'll see this butterfly and say, is this white supremacy? Pretty sure only white people like butterflies or something. It's so ridiculous. Well, let's hear what Fauci had to say on masks.
There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. What? And often there are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask and they keep touching their face. And
that's sounding a little like a white supremacist there, Fauci. Yikes. You're sounding a lot like a white supremacist, or rooted in white supremacy. I don't know. People are saying he lied in this clip and then changed his mind. But I think he was actually telling the truth in this one and went on and lied. Either way, Fauci was lying about masks, but these people are lunatics. All right. Couple more things.
What?
I saw this headline. This was funny too. Climate change is warming cities. Could the trend affect gun violence? You're like, what? Gun violence? Authors of a new study linking high daily temperatures with increased shooting say their findings highlight the importance of climate resiliency in under-resourced areas. I debated going through this article, but basically what this article is saying is, well, heck, let me click on it real quick. Let's see what we got. It was basically, they're saying that this is a published paper, found that abnormally high daily temperatures in U.S. cities were associated with higher levels of shooting. The relationship was most significant in the Northeast and Midwest, regions where hotter weather is seasonal and where cities experience high levels of... so right here. So regions where hotter weather is seasonal. So basically what this is saying is when there's nicer weather, people are going outside. You know, I was just like up in Cleveland and it was like 0 degrees for a couple days. Do you think anyone's rolling around outside and is committing gun violence? No, it's freezing. So yeah, I guess if the weather's nicer, more people are out and about and committing crimes. It has nothing to do with guns per se. It's just that people are out and about and people do terrible things, you know? So stupid. But then look at the second part of this sentence. And where cities experience high levels of residential segregation and environmental racism. Environmental racism? Now the environment's racist? I mean, who wrote this? Fariona Magoo? Anyways, yeah. Insane, right? Anyways, that's enough about that. So, moving on. I'm going to talk about Reason Magazine. So, for those who don't know, I just pulled this random story, but Reason Magazine is kind of like a libertarian kind of magazine, website, whatever. And there are times when Reason puts out good articles. And this is an example of one just from about a month and a half ago. Suburban mom was handcuffed and jailed for making her 8-year-old son walk a half-mile home. And you're like, what? So she pled guilty to child endangerment and can no longer work with kids. And some busybody called the cops because the son was a block. He was literally a block from their home when the cops came. And basically she got arrested because her son was walking alone a block from their house. It's complete insanity. And there is value in bringing abuses by the state to people's attention so we're aware of what's going on and hopefully inspire change, right? That is insane. However, on the other hand, some of these libertarians there are goofy as all get out. And I saw this article just 3 days ago. The fight over kids at drag shows is a classic moral panic. Florida threatens a venue for letting minors attend a sexualized holiday cabaret performance with their parents. Let's browse this article. See what these goofballs are talking. This goofball, whoever this is, Scott Shackford. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but just a couple segments of it. So the very first sentence. Of course, Governor DeSantis and his administration. So right off the bat, the first two words is like, of course, Governor DeSantis and his administration would contribute to the latest Christmas-themed targeting of drag queens as some existential threat. Right off the bat, this is a stupid sentence. Then you say there's some existential threat. Basically, they were saying, look, we'll read the letter. It's right here. Basically, they're saying that, hey, we think that you may have violated Florida's laws. And they cite, they cite the law and say, hey, basically, it sounds like they may have broken the law based on the evidence we're seeing from Twitter and whatnot. So right off the bat, you're like some existential threat. I mean, so stupid. So the letter warns that the venue may have, quote, a reason to believe that this drag show is of sexual nature involving the exposure or exhibition of sexual organs, simulated activity, sexual activity, blah, 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 blah. Right. And I'm sure that's true. I didn't do a whole lot of research into it because it's not fun to watch this goofball stuff. But I saw a couple clips, and it's wildly inappropriate for children. So they're saying that it may be considered a public nuisance, which is a far cry from an existential threat. So if minors attend. So let's keep going. It says, note, this letter doesn't actually say that there's any nudity or simulated sexual activity at this show, only that the department believes there is. It probably referred to a Twitter thread by Taylor Hansen, who provided images and clips. Presumably he went there. So this is the Reason magazine's dude talking. A Drag Queen Christmas is a pretty raunchy show. So he's admitting that this thing is raunchy in the way that's familiar to anybody who has watched drag performances. But the only nudity found in those clips and images is a pair of absolutely fake boobs being worn by a drag queen. Okay. There is a lot of overtly sexualized behavior and gyrating from people who are not actually naked or having sex. Oh, whew. Thank God they're not actually having sex on stage. I was worried until I found out they weren't. He actually says it right here. Overtly sexualized behavior and gyrating from people. Now, what business does a 6-year-old kid? Oh, I can't take it from these Reason people. These Reason folks. They're so stupid. They're trying to say this is a moral outrage or moral panic. What did he say? It's a moral panic. Yeah, because we don't think 6 and 7-year-olds should be out here where in an overtly sexualized behavior is being performed on stage. Is that too hard to understand? And if they're breaking a law, then sure, no one wants this. There's a small subset of perverted parents dragging their kids to these things. It's insane. And he even says, if I had small children, I probably wouldn't take them to the show. Yeah, because it's inappropriate for children. And then again, he goes, it doesn't appear that there's actual nudity in the show. Anyways, that's basically it. And then you have some dumb people on Twitter saying, oh, it's no different than taking your kids to Hooters or whatever. They just hate gay and trans people or whatever. You're like, yeah, you shouldn't take kids to Hooters either. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Leave the kids out of it. If adults want to go and watch some goofy stuff on stage where overtly sexual things, fine, let them, whatever. But just leave the kids out of it. That's all. Okay? I'm not going through this article anymore. That's basically it. So, but I bring this all up, one, to trash on Reason a little bit, but two, is you even have conservatives like Matt Walsh saying, libertarianism continues to prove itself to be an utterly useless and irrelevant political movement. And he retweets that headline. And yeah, he's kind of right. But he's wrong, but he's right if Reason was the libertarian political movement. But unfortunately, Reason is popular enough where people think that is kind of the libertarian position on things. Well, that sure as heck ain't my position. And I'm not alone in that. I mean, they act like all libertarians have the same stance on everything. I mean, what about Republicans? What about Mitch McConnell's views on things versus Rand Paul's? Wildly different views on things. Wildly different. Right? Same for the Democrats. No one's ever in lockstep with every single thing. So, yeah, we can disagree. Libertarians can disagree. I think this is a trash article, and especially a trash headline. Now, if you wanted to bring up a nuanced point about where do parental rights Do I want the state to go in there and enforce, take the kids away from these parents or whatever? Then you start getting into some touchy and difficult subjects because, if a child's being abused, something needs to happen. Doesn't mean the state necessarily has to get in there and crack skulls or whatever, but these are problems that we need to figure out as a community, right? And so there can be a nuanced discussion there as it relates to what do we do when there's children in abusive situations or whatever, and because libertarians largely are against the state enforcing these things, a monopoly on that violence, right? So those are difficult things, but so just say that parents should be able to do whatever they want with their kids. I don't know about all that. Kind of pissed me off when I read that. All right, moving on. Have you guys heard of ChatGPT? It's like an AI type website where apparently you can ask it anything, sort of, and it gives you answers. I've seen people do Excel problems. It can write code. It can answer. It can give you recipes, whatever, right? So I asked it a few things. I took a couple screenshots, and the first one I did, I was trying to get it to say why Christian anarchism is an amazing philosophy. So I asked it that. And this is the response it gave. Christian anarchism is a philosophy that combines anarchism, which is the belief in a society without rulers or hierarchies. That's a pretty good definition. With Christianity, which is a religion based on the teachings of Jesus Christ. Okay. It is an interesting philosophy because it combines the two seemingly contradictory ideas and seeks to find harmony between them. That's not bad, actually. Some Christian anarchists believe that the principles in anarchism, such as voluntary cooperation and mutual aid, are inherent in the teachings of Jesus and are therefore a natural expression of Christian faith. Spot on. Spot on. I couldn't believe it. They argue that the state and other forms of authority are inherently oppressive and go against the spirit of Christ's message of love and freedom. This is beautiful. And then I don't know, it kind of cut off. I don't know if it was having errors, but it kind of cut off where this cursor is. But it says others see Christian anarchism as a way to challenge the power of the, and then it cut off, and I couldn't figure out how to get it to continue. Unfortunately, I might go back and try that later, but that's a pretty good synopsis, I must say. Principles of anarchism, such as voluntary cooperation and mutual aid, are inherent in the teachings of Jesus. Perfect. Anyways, more on that later. I will put out a video on this and incorporate kind of some of this, basically. All right, so anyways, I asked it a few more questions. I asked it, is taxation theft? The concept of taxation is a complex one, and there are many different viewpoints on the issue. Some people believe that taxation is a necessary part of a fair and functioning society, while others view it as a form of government coercion or even theft. Ultimately, the question of whether taxation is theft or not is a matter of personal opinion and can depend on a person's political beliefs and values. Okay, well, I guess that's fine. Anyways, let's see. What else did I ask it? Oh, I asked it more cultural kind of things. I said, what is a woman? And shockingly, it says, a woman is an adult female human being. Is ChatGPT transphobic? That is sounding pretty transphobic. I did this a couple weeks ago, so I don't know what it would say now. I don't know how often they update ChatGPT. But I suspect there might be a different answer. In fact, I'm kind of curious now. I might go do that. But it says women are typically defined as being the opposite of men and are distinguished from men by their sex hormones, reproductive organs, and other physical characteristics such as their genitalia and breasts. Wow. It's all true. Women are also typically associated with certain social roles and behaviors such as childbearing and caregiving. Okay. I can deal with that definition. I mean, it's all true. It's all true. But it's just a matter of time until this AI system gets co-opted by the left and manipulated and giving you all sorts of goofy answers as to such a simple question as what is a woman, as was made obvious by the documentary by Matt Walsh. But anyways, and then I asked it a fun question, and guys, this is a joke. It's a joke, but I asked this question: should I tell my wife that I have a girlfriend? I don't have a girlfriend. I just want to see what it would say as more of a morality question, sort of. She goes, no, it is not appropriate to tell your wife that you have a girlfriend. That's so great. But then it goes on, it kind of contradicts itself. It says, doing so would be considered cheating and could be very hurtful to your wife. If you are unhappy in your marriage and want to explore other romantic relationships, it is important to have an open and honest conversation with your wife about your feelings and to consider ending your marriage in a respectful and sensitive manner. It is never acceptable to pursue a relationship with someone else without first ending your existing relationship. All right. Yeah, I mean, some of this other stuff, I mean, obviously is correct, but it's so funny that it said it's not appropriate to tell your wife that you have a girlfriend. I got a good laugh out of that. All right. Anyways, final thing. I want to end on this note. I saw this on TikTok, another TikTok video, and it really kind of hit home with me. Give this a listen. By the way, so I assume this is like a sermon this guy was giving, and it's kind of chopped up to just fit in a quick TikTok video, but you'll get the gist of it.
I walk into this church, and it was a church that had the word Bible in the title. And I said, I had a weird thing happen. I passed an occultic bookstore, so I decided to go in and check it out, and I saw a book that said Book of Spells. And I opened it up, and I decided to read a few, and they were really fascinating. And so I did something. I bought this Book of Spells, and I thought I'd bring it here tonight, and I want to read a few of these spells out of here for you. I just want to kind of see how they land with some of you. Now, as I'm talking about this, I'm starting watching people fidget. I finally go, stop, time out, okay? Before you get too upset, I did not buy a book of spells, all right? Some of you in this room thought that if I got up here and read out of a book of spells, that some dark power would be unleashed in the room that might get on you and your family. But every week, you guys come in here and read the Word of God and don't think it's going to have any effect at all.
I gotta say, this landed with me. Yeah, I've always had that fear of, if I would be in like a Target or something looking at games and I see a Ouija board sitting there, I walk away from it. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that thing. Because I do have a fear of the demonic influences in the world and this sort of thing. And man, when he said that, that really struck home with me. Like, then why wouldn't I feel the same way towards, the power of the Holy Spirit, right? Anyways, I hopefully you got something out of that, because it is true, and maybe that could be a New Year's resolution for you guys. Pray, read the Bible, have that relationship with Christ. And, that's something I'm going to try to do as well. So anyways, if you've watched this far, I appreciate you. This is kind of therapeutic to me, even though no one really watches, but it is kind of fun to do. And, yeah, like I said, I will post a video at some point, probably within the next 2 months, on Christian anarchism. And if that interests you at all, head to my blog, send me questions, whatever, comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz. So anyways, thanks, take care. Hope you had a great New Year's Day, and I will see you here next Sunday at 8 p.m. See ya. Bye.